Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. A little bit more localist jams. Wallenpaupack jams in the form of their For the Love of Lager, Rauch Dopplebock. Wallenpaupack Brewing. I dig them. I dig the brewery. Been drinking their beers for a while. They literally make everything. From lagers, smoke beer, hazies, stouts, bocks, barley wines, everything you can possibly imagine. And I saw this at a local place on the shelf. How old is it? I don't know. So this is canned, about a month ago. On the bottom it actually says, I want a Rauch. So I'm here for the smoke. We'll see what's what. Smoked Dopplebock, the decoction mash lager with smoked Munich malt, 7.7% alcohol by volume. Done and done. Ripping out the dippled mug because I think that's proper. And we'll see what's what. I know it doesn't really give you a bunch of glorious viewpoints of the beer, but I want to use it. Even though it's like the most annoying beer to swirl around and get a nose in. Label-wise, it's what Wallenpaupack does. A lot of labels are pretty much exactly like this, just coloration changes and a little bit of variance on it and stuff like that. I'm not going to say I hate it, but it's not like otherworldly labeling. As far as the beer goes, you smoked aside. That's exactly where I want my Dopplebocks to look, because a lot of Dopplebocks, there's two veins of Dopplebocks. There's like the Salvatore Dopplebock, then there's like the Celebrator Dopplebock. One tends to be a little bit clearer, tends to be a little bit less murky, a little bit less soft, a little bit less robust. This one actually has a nice murkiness to it, a little bit of subtle haze to it with that rich kind of brown with a touch of mahogany, maybe even a little bit of orange thrown in there. So it definitely looks part of what I like my Dopplebocks to look like. And there was the head on there, decently dissipated pretty quick because this dude talks a lot. And it just has this nice kind of off-white head to it. Pretty much what you'd expect from a Dopplebock in general. Now, the smoke portion of the show I don't think is going to really do much as far as view. Let's see what it smells like, though. Very, very, very subtle smokiness here. Very much a Dopplebock with a bit of smoke as opposed to a Rauch beer with a bit of Dopplebock into it. The prominent notes here are very rich, bready, sweet, slightly caramelized kind of breadiness that you would get from a really nice, well-done Dopplebock. Just this cavalcade of rich maltiness. And, there's not much as far as bittering here. There's a little bit of tannic tea-like stuff, but nothing too crazy. Exactly what you expect for a nice Dopplebock. And it is subtle, fluttering smoke. It does come off a little bit, fatty, a little bit kielbasa-y, a little a la Schlenkerler style kind of smokiness, but it's very, very, very subdued, at least aromatically. You're not getting this huge punch in the face of smoke of Rauch. It's just this kind of, okay, I think this is Dopplebock and it might have a little bit of smoke going on kind of vibes, at least on a nose. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. Yeah. Honestly, it follows through on the taste. Exactly what the nose was delivering. This is like S-tier Dopplebock right now. I'm telling you. It's got this super sultry mouthfeel to it that I think is like absolutely a must when it comes to like world-class, really well-done Dopplebock. And not a lot of breweries overseas or here kind of pull it off. Sam Adams does, Trogs does, Eyinger does. There's breweries that do it, but man, as far as Dopplebocks goes, as far as mouthfeels, lushness, and just richness in a Dopplebock, this is really up there as one of my favorite. Sweetness here is perfect. It just has this kind of, again, using a molasses caramel kind of mixture as a sweetener and a really doughy brown breadiness. So you bake that off, maybe even drizzle a little bit on top, throw it back in the oven, get a little bit crispy. It has that kind of sweet bread that's isn't dessert, but it has a little bit of dessert qualities to it. So that's the way the malt base comes off in this. Very, very vibrant, very, very rich, really, really well made. Zero as far as negativity comes on this beer, as far as off flavors or anything like that. And honestly, we could just stop here and just say, this is, without a doubt, Mount Rushmore status Dopplebock for me. But we're talking about smoked Dopplebock, and that's where this one kind of falls a little bit behind for me. Sure, there are smoky elements to this beer, but it's not a really powerful. Yeah, maybe we'll use that word. Powerful portion of the beer. It's there. There is a smoked malt component in the beer, but to call it a Rauch Dopplebock, I think is a little bit aggressive. I appreciate that they put it on there because it exists. But when I talk about a smoked or a Rauch Doppelbock, I'm thinking something a little bit more hard-hitting, a little bit of pop. Now, does that upset me? No, because I think the Doppelbock itself is just world-class awesomeness. Just I expect a little bit more smoke to it, a little bit more richness to that flabby, fatty kind of Schlenkerler kind of smoke. Now, where does this beer kind of fit in as far as Doppelbock and Rauch beer? It's almost like a bridge beer to a certain extent. And by that, I mean, smoked beers are not everybody's favorite beer. Dude, I did not like them. When I first got into beer, I'm old now. 24 years, 25, 26, 26 years ago. Okay. I know it's people over, but it's messing me up. I wasn't a big Rauch beer fan. I wasn't a big IPA fan. You're talking late 90s here, so it's not like my offerings were really that wide. But taste change, palates change and evolve, and several years later, started to widen my horizons, and now I really enjoy a smoked beer. This beer would have been perfect to give to 2021 me. Because I think it gives enough smoke to where it lends itself to a unique twist for somebody that might not be into or might be jarred too much from a heavily smoked beer as kind of a training wheel beer. 7% Doppelbock as a training wheel beer sounds kind of weird, but that's the thing. Somebody that really is just not a big fan of smoked beer, I think if you give this to them and they do like darker, richer beers, Doppelbocks, Belgian Browns, stuff like that, I think they dig this. I really do, because I don't think that smoke is entirely too aggressive to kind of tip that in the scales. Now, if you're talking to a grade A smoke junkie, the person that literally subscribes to one Facebook group called This Week in Rauch Beer, if you're that person, it might come up a little bit short, but here's the twist. I think if you are that big into Rauch beer, I'd almost say you have to love Doppelbock, because there's no way you haven't drank a ton of Doppelbock if you haven't drank a bunch of darker Rauch beer, especially considering Schlenkerler makes the smoked Doppelbock. I think you would enjoy this too, because I think you would be like, not a big smoke component on this, but man, this is a really good Doppelbock. So there you go. I think it fits all crowds. We're off to a good start. Today is Friday night of my 2-week vacation from work. I love my job, but I'm looking forward to it. I love my job. I don't even want to get into it, how much I dig my job. Raises and bonuses, man. Sometimes you get surprised in a very cool way, but flabbergasted kind of way. But I'm due for a little R&R, and I'm going to take full advantage of that R&R. And tonight I figured I'd start off with a nice a wintry-esque kind of beer review, and just say Wallenpaupack, Rauch Doppelbock. It's one of the better Doppelbocks I've had as of late. Yes, Mount Rushmore status. Easy. Smoke beers, probably, if we just make it smoke beers, probably on the outside looking in, still really, really good. It just lacks that pop to really, especially for this kind of beer, this richer or higher ABV beer, to be really in line with what I'd want, but I'm never turning this away. Absolutely fantastic beer. Done and done. Value and availability, I actually picked up a 4-pack. I don't know what I paid for it. My guess is this is pushing 20. 16 to 20 in those ranges. You're talking about high ABV beer, specialty beer, smoke malts. That's my guess. Off the shelf. That's where I found it, and leave you with if you like what we like this. We already covered it. If you dig on Doppelbocks, I think you love this. If you dig on smoke beers, I think you love this, even though it's not that smoky. I think it just has enough to kind of clue you in. And if you're not a huge fan of smoke, you like rich or dark beers, I think you dig this too. Yeah. 5-tool player. How about that? Good start to the night. There you go. Reviewing the books. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif for the podcasting stuff. Wallenpaupack Brewing. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? All that fun stuff down there. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of smoke right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers all.